I'm always delighted to be with Saul News. This has been such a leader in the conservative movement and the Republican Party.
Welcome to the Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for June 30th, 2023. This week, The Hill reports, GOP divided on first impeachment target. The growing zeal among House Republicans to launch impeachment proceedings has hit an early snag. There's no agreement on which Biden administration figure to target. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy this week threw his support behind a possible impeachment inquiry into Attorney General Merrick Garland just days after the GOP conference sparred internally over a resolution to impeach President Biden. A possible Biden impeachment came on the heels of an announcement from House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Mark Green that the panel would kick off the formal investigation of Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas needed to proceed with an impeachment inquiry. Since the GOP takeover of the House, much of the impeachment energy has been focused on Mayorkas, with disagreements over the border fueling several impeachment resolutions in the weeks after lawmakers were sworn in. An article from the New York Times states, Asian Americans shifting right. The Chinatown area of Sunset Park, Brooklyn was long a Democratic stronghold. The party's candidates would often receive more than 70% of the vote there. Last year, however, the neighborhood underwent a political transformation. Lee Zeldin, the Republican nominee for governor, managed to win Sunset Park's Chinatown, receiving more votes than Governor Kathy Hochul. This shift is part of a national story. In the past two elections, 2020 and 2022, Asian Americans have moved toward the right, according to election returns and exit polls. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott, the Republican incumbent, beat Beto O'Rourke among Asian voters 52% to 46%, and Texas House Republicans also did well, according to polls by the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund. Nationally, the rightward drift of Asian voters is connected to a new class divide in American politics. The Democratic Party, especially its liberal wing, has increasingly come to reflect the views of college-educated professionals. To a growing number of working-class voters, however, the new version of the party has become less appealing. And finally, the Washington Free Beacon reports, White House touts Bidenomics as voters trash economy. The White House on Wednesday touted Bidenomics as a winning issue for President Joe Biden, despite polls showing Americans are not satisfied with the economy. Despite the administration's focus on Biden's supposed economic success, several recent polls show voters aren't on the same page. The number of Americans who think they'll have a comfortable retirement hit its lowest point since 2012 last month. Also in May, Gallup reported that fewer Americans think it's a good time to buy a house than any time since it began asking the question in 1978. An April CNBC poll found that 70% of Americans admit to being stressed out about their personal finances these days. The majority of Americans blame inflation. The bad economy is hitting businesses too. A poll last month revealed that 6 out of 10 small business owners are worried that Biden's inflationary economy could force them to close their businesses. And that concludes your Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for June 30th, 2023. For more political news faster, visit saulsnews.com.